And I don't think there was a government mandate, was there?
No, there was not.
Okay, and now let's think about something more modern here. Cell phones. There was a day, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, where nobody had cell phones, right?
Right.
And there were no stores that sold them.
Right.
There were no towers that took the signals.
Yes.
And yet, today, we have cell phones. We have towers. I mean, we can call to Europe. We can call to Asia, right?
You're right.
We can call to Australia. I bet we could even call to the South Pole.
I bet we could.
And yet, those things all got built.
Right.
It was there a government mandate for that?
Not for cell phones.
Okay. Now, okay, now with hydrogen, the hydrogen would be like in a tank in a car, is something like that? Is that right?
Right.
Okay, and so you'd have, I don't know, what is there, like 100 million cars in America today?
Yeah.
And so you have so you gotta have all these you have all this hydrogen in the tanks, and cars get in accidents, cars rear end each other,
Right.
cars swerve off the road and hit trees, drunk drivers are out there, and wasn't it in the 1930s that the Germany sent the Hindenburg over over the Atlantic?
Yes.
And have you ever seen that movie? You know, it's landing in New Jersey, and then when it's landing, it blows up. And,
Yes.
and it was filled with hydrogen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, now like she said something about the oil production. Now didn't they, I don't know this, but like, didn't they just discover a big oil field in the Gulf of Mexico that has 9 billion barrels of, you know, like that? And didn't they just discover one in Nigeria? And didn't they just discover one in Saudi Arabia? And didn't they, and see, okay, now, just, Chloe played along very well. Okay, a lot of control. I didn't go for big killer, destroy her thing. But what were my, I was impeaching by innuendo. What were my themes? What were the points that I was making in the cross-examination? Okay, when I'm talking about the Model Ts and the cell phones, what was the point I was getting at?
You don't need a government mandate to get the same thing.
To get the infrastructure.
Yeah.
If the profits are there, private industry will create the infrastructure. So what you do though, but I never said that. You see, I never said that. I impeached her by innuendo. Okay, these cars are dangerous, they're going to blow up like the Hindenburg. I didn't say it that way. How did I lay it? I said, all these cars are driving around with big tanks of hydrogen. Cars have accidents, they swerve off the road, there's drunk drivers and all that. And then I brought up the Hindenburg and just described the Hindenburg. But I never said, these cars are going to blow up the way the Hindenburg did. But did everybody understand that that was what I was arguing? And so there was nothing that my dear daughter Chloe could say to, unless she really like kind of jumped out and refuted, said, you're trying to imply these things are all going to blow up, but that's not true, da 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 da. Okay, Chloe, let me take that weasel and put it over here, and just keep talking about it. So, and see, and I will tell you, 9 out of 10 people that you cross-examine will not know how to do that. So you see the control. Now, all I did was, I know nothing about this. If I would have known more about the oil production thing, I could have done that. Well, they just discovered this big thing in the Gulf of Mexico. They just discovered this big thing in Nigeria. They just you know, like that. Okay, that's not a big point. But the thing is that all of a sudden, it paints a picture like there's huge flaws in the program. Now, when you're doing your own talk, then you can bring these things more to light the way that I said it. But what you've done is you've sort of laid the table for the ways you're going to attack the 1AC through the cross-examination. Now, it takes discipline to do this, but I think you guys get the picture, like this can be done. This is not like you have to go to law school for 3 years to learn how to do this. I mean, are you kind of getting the vision of how this works and how you can do this? Okay, maybe there's some other guinea pig we could throw up here with a 1AC and not my dear daughter Chloe, because I was
Or
chanting.
we could have more people practice me, but I mean, you just.
You have like the ability to read off a computer or something?
I could, but if other
I mean, it
people-
depends on what you want to do. I'll leave the decision
Yeah, I
to
think
you.
that's
You're in control of the class. I'm just, but I just want you guys to get the vision of how to do this. And can you see, it's sort of a less is more. By having more limited objectives and being more concrete, I think, did you not get the impression like, wow, there's huge flaws in this? That's the value of doing cross-examination the right way. Rather than, you know, if I said, Chloe, isn't this thing going to be way too expensive?
No, not at all. And it's way worth the cost because there's no runoff.
Okay, thank you,
and,
thank you, thank you,
and
thank you,
also-
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the polite homeschool way of doing it. And, this is really going to cost a lot of money and be very unworkable, right?
No, it's going to be very workable because the United States companies are already ready to enact this plan. They're just waiting for the infrastructure.
Aren't these all
to
going
be
to blow
built.
up like the Hindenburg?
Oh, not at all, because we've been developing this technology. It's ready to run, but all we need is that government mandate to mandate
Thank
these
you,
cars
thank
to
you,
be built.
thank you,
for the
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please stop talking, please stop talking, please stop talking. Okay, is that not the typical way of doing that you see it done? And I just show you the contrast. And now we'll get some of you guys up here, maybe you can do it and you can beat up Chloe in love, or we'll get somebody else up here with another one. But I want you guys to spend the time to do this because I think this could, you master this, it could give you the edge, it could get you in the out rounds, get you to a regional or national tournament.
So Mr. Lawrence, if you could give us like 3 principles to just have in our head while we're doing this, what would they be? Like for
Okay.
instance, good.
You want to, okay, when you're listening to this, now I kind of gave you the idea how to do this, but I think that it's okay to think of like, okay, here are the flaws in the argument, and characterize them, you know, like, you don't need the government to mandate this stuff, all the cars are gonna blow up. You can first state them in your head that way, but then you have to translate this into a cross-examination mode by saying, how do I illustrate that with concrete examples that are factual? And then if I had the evidence, I would also would have done that oil production is going down. That I would have refuted that too. And because all she could say is, well, I don't know anything about the new oil discovery in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, fine. You make your point. She's not going to be able to refute it. She's just going to say, I don't know anything about it. And that's as good as a yes to me in cross-examination. So you think about, okay, this is how I'm going to attack this. Then rather than having the characterization, kind of this is too expensive, or these cars are all going to blow up, or you don't need the government to mandate this, if the money is there, private industry will do that. Those are all the conclusions you come to. You kind of want to like work backwards from them. And that's what I was doing. And saying, okay, what are examples of where we had no infrastructure, and infrastructure blossomed and sprang up on its own without government mandates? And I thought of cell phones and cars when they first came in.